The sky over Naissus burned a fierce red on the stone steps before the palace. The discarded armor of fallen soldiers gleamed like scattered gold in the dusk. A thick, heavy air, smelling of blood and dust, hung over everything. Deucalion gasped for breath, his eyes fixed on Catreus, his brother, standing opposite him. A long silence stretched between them, a silence heavier than blood, thicker than fate. Then, a flash of steel shattered the quiet as the tips of their swords met with a sharp ring. After a furious exchange of blows, Deucalion's blade sliced across Catreus's arm, drawing a line of crimson. Catreus gritted his teeth, stumbling back. "Let's end it here for today," he hissed, his voice strained. "But the next time we face each other, I will be the victor." With that, he turned and fled toward the palace, disappearing into its shadows. Deucalion watched him go, but his gaze was firm, unwavering. He didn't pursue instead. His attention shifted to another fierce battle raging nearby, where his young companion Hippothous faced the massive Taurus. Hippothous, quick and agile, unleashed a rapid series of thrusts with his sword. But Taurus, a giant of a man, simply swatted them all away with his enormous axe. "You think you can take down a general of Crete with that little toothpick?" Taurus roared, swinging his axe in a wide, devastating arc. Hippothous, without a shield, barely managed to spin away. The axe crashed into the stone floor, shattering it and sending dust and debris flying. In that split second of chaos, Deucalion saw his opening. He sprang forward, a Cretan soldier's knife now in his other hand, and circled behind the behemoth, aiming for his back. Taurus, however, reacted with surprising speed. He spun, his axe a blur of motion. "Even if you are the heir to Crete, my axe will find you," he bellowed. But Deucalion was faster. His own sword flashed, cutting a deep gash across Taurus's shoulder. Blood sprayed from the wound. Taurus roared in pain and fury, staggering back toward the palace steps. He turned, his eyes burning with hatred, and shouted at Deucalion, "I will kill Minos, then Crete will be mine." His heavy footsteps echoed as he vanished up the stone stairs. Just as Deucalion moved to follow, Taurus's men surged forward, surrounding him. But Hippothous was instantly at his side. "I'll hold them off," he yelled. The two stood back to back, a whirlwind of steel. Swords flashed in the fading light, and the cries of traitors were cut short. After a few desperate moments, the battlefield fell silent. No enemies remained standing. Panting, Deucalion turned to Hippothous. "Who are you, and why are you helping Theseus?" Hippothous rested the tip of his sword on the ground and smiled. "I am Hippothous, king of Eleusis. Theseus fought for my homeland, and because of him, I am who I am today. He is a hero not just to Athens, but to Eleusis as well." Deucalion fell into a thoughtful silence. "I sought to contain the Minotaur in the labyrinth, to preserve order in Crete," he mused. "Your friend Theseus also fights against wickedness for his people, doesn't he? Our methods may be different, but our hearts are the same." He sheathed his blade. "I want to be friends with Theseus. Can you help me?" Hippothous' smile widened as he nodded. Of course, if the hero of Athens and the hero of Crete join hands, there could be nothing better for Eleusis. They looked at each other and smiled. The wind that swept across the quiet battlefield felt like a vow, sealing a new alliance. The next morning, Theseus stood ready, armed with the spear of Minos and the shield of Eleusis. Before him stood Phaedra. "I hope you return safely, Theseus," she said, her voice trembling slightly. Her eyes were searching. "Ariadne visited your chambers last night. Do you have feelings for her?" Theseus paused before answering. "She is the one who showed me the way out of the labyrinth. I am grateful. If I return safely, I may take her with me to Athens." Phaedra's eyes flickered with pain at his words. "But I saved you too when you fought Deucalion. Why won't you take me?" Theseus's voice was gentle. "I know your heart, Phaedra, but I cannot take both princesses. If I become king of Athens, I will send for you then, but only on the condition that Deucalion becomes king of Crete." Phaedra nodded quietly, but a deep, unreadable loneliness filled her eyes. "Very well, good luck, then." She turned and walked slowly away. A subtle feeling of guilt gnawed at Theseus as he made his way to King Minos. In the throne room, Catreus was on his knees before the king. "Your Majesty Deucalion has joined forces with Theseus. You must execute the traitor immediately." King Minos's eyes were cold and hard. "Deucalion is my successor. I cannot kill him so easily. Besides, Theseus will die in the labyrinth at the hands of the Minotaur anyway." Catreus's face twisted in a mask of rage. "Then I will arrest Deucalion myself. Grant me your elite guard." Just as Minos considered this, the throne room doors burst open and Theseus strode in. He grabbed Catreus by the head and slammed him to the floor. "And neither is Deucalion. He has become my friend. Do not be deceived by the lies of this snake." He lifted his shield, and as Catreus scrambled up, Theseus met him with a powerful punch. Catreus collapsed, coughing up blood. "There is no more time," Theseus said, turning back to the king. "I must go face the Minotaur." Minos was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Finally, he nodded. "The labyrinth is on the highest level of this palace. Keep ascending the stairs. You will find the Minotaur there." At Minos's words, Theseus turned and his eyes met Ariadne's across the room. Understanding his silent plea, she approached and handed him a small bundle of cloth. Inside was a ball of thread. Then she removed a glowing circlet from her hair and placed it in his hand. "This will light your path," she whispered, "just as you have found the path to my heart." Theseus bowed his head in gratitude. Watching from a distance, the old inventor Daedalus murmured to himself, "Now it is time for the master of the labyrinth to change." Theseus began his ascent up the long winding staircase. The light grew dimmer and dimmer with each step until only his silhouette was visible against the gloom. Suddenly, the palace doors crashed open again. It was Taurus, covered in his own blood, his eyes burning with madness. "Crete is mine," he screamed, lunging toward Minos, his great axe held high. For a fleeting instant, fear contorted the king's face. But just as the axe began its descent, Catreus, who had been lying on the floor, sprang into action. He grabbed Taurus's arm, stopping the blow. "If you kill the king now, you only help Theseus," he snarled. Taurus stared at him, confused. "What are you babbling about? Think, if you kill the king now, and Theseus kills the Minotaur and returns, then the king is dead and the monster is gone. Crete will fall into his hands completely. You will have been nothing but the pawn who handed him the crown." Taurus's face twisted with a mixture of rage and dawning realization. He lowered his axe, his gaze shifting from the king to the towering staircase. "Theseus," he bellowed, his voice a primal roar that echoed off the stone walls. With his huge axe in hand, he charged up the stairs, his thunderous footsteps shaking the very foundations of the palace.